So surface acting agents can be defined as these are the compounds which can be used for stabilization of mixtures of oil as well as water or the various kind of emulsions. They act as by reducing the surface acting tension and interface between the oil and water molecules. So there are four types of surface acting agents we are using: anionic surface acting agent, non-ionic surface acting agents, cationic surface acting agents, and amphoteric type of surface acting agents. So these anionic surface acting agents or the anionic surfactants mostly used for the soap as well as the sulfonates as well as the sulfates. So they are used as a soap. Then non-ionic surfactants are mostly ethoxylated fatty acid as well as the esters. Then cationic surfactants are mostly quaternary ammonium compounds. Then amphoteric compounds are the betanes as well as amino acids and their derivatives. And some other class of surface acting agents nowadays utilize, that is polymeric surfactants and silicon surfactants. Then anionic surfactant means what? These are basically soaps and carboxylates. So triglyceride, it is originated from the animal source. So they are most probably we are using them. Then monoglycerides are also used as anionic surfactants. Examples of this category is lauric acid, myristic acid, palmitic acid. Then some other examples I have shown here, that is based on the oil-based type of surfactants. We can say coconut oil, palm oil, olive oil, lard. So they are basically hard in nature and they are used in various kind of preparations. Then anionic type of surfactants are there. Examples are sulfates and sulfonates. So under the sulfates, sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium lauryl sulfate, most probably for the cream purpose, we can use sulfates. Then sulfonates are there, linear alkyl benzene sulfonates are there, sodium lauryl sulfosuccinates are there. Then cationic surfactants are there. Example is quaternary amine compounds, or simply they can called as a quartz. Then other cationic surfactants are there, like cetylpyridium chloride, as well as in the combination of anionic surfactants, generally cationic surfactants are added. Then non-ionic type of surfactants are there, that is ethoxylated alcohols as well as the alkyl phenols, like ethoxylated linear alcohols, ethoxylated alkyl phenols, cetyl alcohol. Then fatty acid esters are there, like glycerol monostearate, PEG 100, polyethylene glycol. Then nitrogenated non-ionic surfactants, like tertiary amide oxides and ethoxylated imides. So these are the three types of surface acting agents which are coming under the non-ionic surfactants. Then amphoteric or the deuterium type of surfactants are there. Generally, they are used most probably in various kind of preparations. They have the two functional group. That's why they are called as the amphoteric type of surface acting agents. Now, after that, we can use the preservatives also in case of various kind of preparation. The role of preservative is that they preserve your preparation and they will avoid the microbial growth, or they will help in the stabilization of your preparation. That's why they are called as the preservatives. They are added into the various type of other pharmaceutical dosage form also and in cosmetics nowadays to prevent or inhibit the growth of microbes. Now, what should be the ideal properties of the preservatives? When we are choosing the preservatives or any kind of antimicrobial agent to stabilize your preparation, so some ideal properties should possess that preservatives. So they are very much common one, that it should not be returned, it should not be toxic one, it should be physically as well as chemically stable one. Then it should have the preservation activity, and it should not uh, interfere with the pharmacological action of your preparation, as well as the physical changes should not be occur because of the presence of preservatives. So these are the various kind of ideal properties which are required for your preservatives. Now the classification of the preservative. On the basis of the mechanism of action, preservatives can be divided into the three types, that is the antioxidants. Examples are vitamin E and vitamin C. So these kind of preservatives are called as the antioxidants, and they are helpful in the prevention of oxidation. So when they are preventing the oxidation, it means they are also preserving your preparation. So that's why they are also coming under the preservative categories. Then antimicrobial agents are there, like benzoates, sodium benzoate, as well as the sorbates. They are having the ability to inhibit the growth of microorganism directly. Then chelating agents are there. They are also called as the preservative, but basically they are antioxidant. So these chelating agents will avoid the oxidation process by interacting with the oxidating free radicals. So they will try to make the complex with the free radical, and they will avoid the oxidation process. So their examples are citric acid, polyphosphates. Then other classification of your preservative is the depending on the source, that is natural preservatives and artificial preservatives. Natural preservatives are neem oil containing the sodium chloride, then lemon, honey. Then after that, artificial preservatives are same as we have mentioned above, that is benzoates, sodium benzoates, sorbates, and all. Generally, synthetics as well as natural type of preservatives are we are using uh, for mostly herbal creams. Then your preservative must have the good antibacterial action, and they are most probably we are using for prevention of the bacterial growth, as well as they should avoid the spoilage of your product, and your product should be kept fresh for every time. So for that purpose, we are using the preservatives. Some other type of preservatives are there, like benzoic acid, boric acid, then ethyl paraben, as well as the alcohols. So this benzoic acid is used as for the preservation of the food products. They can inhibit the growth of molds, yeast, as well as the bacteria. So they can be used as externally antiseptics. Then boric acid is there; it is used as antiseptic for the insecticides, as well as the flame retardant. Then ethyl paraben is there; it is used as preservative for the preparation as well, and it is also used for the food products also. Then mercuric compounds are there, that is phenyl mercuric nitrate is there. It is used as a bacterial preservative in the pharmaceutical preparations. Some other examples are there, like alcohols, aldehydes, phenols. Okay, just so these are the various kind of examples are there, which can be we are using for the preparation of your cosmetics, like aldehydes, alcohols, phenolic compounds, esters, mercuric compounds, and so on. Then various kind of antioxidants we have mentioned earlier. So this kind of antioxidants can be categorized as intracellular antioxidants. Examples are enzymes, catalase. Then extracellular antioxidants are there, like vitamin C, sulfonyl groups. Then membrane antioxidants are there, like carotenoid, then ubiquinone, vitamin E. Then some substances are there which are essential for synthesis of antioxidant enzymes. So they are copper, manganese, selenium, and zincs. Now after that, we'll see regarding the emollients, which are we are adding into the various kind of creams as well as the ointments. So moisturizers or the emollients are you can say very much important kind of ingredient for the maintaining the required moisture and maintaining the required water content inside your product also, as well as inside on your skin also. So that's why moisturizers as well as emollients are generally we are using into the cosmetic preparations. These are also important kind of ingredients as like as your others. Generally, emollients are safe as well as effective one for the maintaining the good condition of the skin also and your preparation also. So when you are using your moisturizers, generally they are avoiding the drying of their preparations. Also, they are maintaining the required concentration of water or the moisture. Generally, emollients absorb the moisture or they trap the moisture uh, from the environment, and they will try to maintain the required concentration of moisture inside the preparation. And when they are using on your skin as an emollient, so here also they are maintaining the required moisture into your skin. They are generally used to give the soothing effect as well as to avoid the drying of your skin. Generally, emollients are having the different types, like soap substitutes are there. According to their use, we can have the soap type of emollients. Then leave-on emollients are there. Leave-on emollients are directly applied on the skin, and after that we have to leave for the particular period, and then we can wash up it. Then ointments are there. Basically, ointments are having the various kind of waxes or water insoluble material. When we are applying the plain ointments without any drug, so they are acting as an emollient or they are having the greaseous nature. So they will form the thin film on your skin, and because of that, they will prevent the vaporization of the water from the skin. So that's why they are acting as a good emollient, as well as they will provide the soothing effect. And also these kind of emollient are acting as a protecting layer, or they are having the ability to protect your skin from the environmental condition. Then some creams are there having the mixture of water and oil. So when we are preparing the thick type of creams, so they are also having the greasy bases, so they are acting as like as your ointment emollients. Then lotions are there, so they are having the some amount of oil as well as the water. So they are also having the good moisturizing capacity of your skin. Then hydrating gels are nowadays we are using. So they are having the ability to absorb the moisture from the environment, and they will try to maintain the required condition or required moisture to your skin. So other kind of ingredients are rheology modifier or the viscosity modifiers. When we are preparing the thick preparation, so here there is the rheology modifiers are used to maintain the required viscosity of your preparation. So they are having the number of advantages. If we are maintaining the proper viscosity, then we can have the easiness for the application of the preparation on your skin, and your preparation will be stick on your skin for a particular period. If it is not having proper viscosity, then you cannot handle that preparation very easily. So there are so many kind of preparations are there in which we require the rheology as well as the viscosity modifying agent. So there are classification is that that is aqueous phase additives or non-aqueous phase additives, or water soluble viscosity enhancer and water insoluble type of viscosity enhancers. When we are using the water soluble type of viscosity modifier, so they are having the Reolux associated thickeners, hectorite, bentone, hydrophilic clays, and then water insoluble type of viscosity modifiers are like Benton organic clays and Benton gel. Generally, this kind of rheological additives or the viscosity enhancer having the ability to provide the stickiness to your product, as well as binding a little bit binding ability to your product. Then they are used in case of the your lipsticks, antiperspirants, as well as in case of mascaras also we require such kind of viscosity modifiers. So in this all the preparation, they are having their dynamic role to maintain the integrity of your product, because in the lipsticks, antiperspirant, when we are applying them on your skin, so they are particular amount of that material should be stick on your skin for the particular period. Without the addition of such kind of rheological modifier, we cannot maintain the required integrity of your product. In case of emulsion also, we require the such kind of thickening agent or the viscosity modifier to improve the stability of your emulsion. Then in case of sunscreen preparation also, we require to add your viscosity modifiers. So this is about your all kind of ingredients. Especially we are using them for the preparation of your cosmetics. So this was about your little bit. Now it is very well known to all of you that anatomy and physiology of the skins. So here very shortly we will see about the human skin and its function. Generally, it is the outermost largest organ of human body, that is called as the skin. The functions of the skin are: it controls the loss of valuable fluids, it prevents the penetration of noxious foreign material as well as the radiations. Then it maintains the cushions against the mechanical shocks toward your bones. It regulates the heat loss. Then it maintains the incoming stimulus, as well as it's having a particular color, odor, and texture, and allow it to transmit social and sexual signals. So these are the functions of your skin. Then there are the different components, or the in case of structure of your skin, we'll see there are the three layers, that is epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Epidermis is the outermost layer of your skin, which is having the ability to protect your body from the environmental condition. Then dermis provide the support and structure to the uh, upper layer and down layer. Then hypodermis is there, which is having the uh, subcutaneous layer, and it is beneath the skin. It function as the insulation and padding of the body. Then regarding the epidermis, in short, it contains near about six layers: stratum germinatum, then palpigem layer, stratum granulosum, then stratum lucidum layer, stratum corneum layer, and cornified layer. Then dermis, it is the, you can say, layer between the epidermis and the hypodermis. It is called as the dermis. It contains network of sweat glands, blood vessels, sebaceous gland, hair follicle. Then it provides the resilience and structure to the skin. Generally, it is having the 2 millimeter thickness. Then hypodermis is there. It is the largest, last layer of your skin, and it is also called as the deepest section of your skin. It refers to the fat tissue below the dermis, and it insulates the body from the cold temperature, and it provides the shock absorption ability to your body. The fat cells of hypodermis also store fat as well as the nutrients. Now this was about the just structure of your skin. Now we'll see regarding the what kind of disorders are there to the skin. Generally, acne is the common problem. It is found on your skin. That is, you can say, acne are located on the face, neck, as well as shoulder, chest, and upper back. Then cold sore are there. This is also another type of problem. Red painful blisters are appears on the skin. They are called as the sores. Then blisters are there. It is characterized by watery, clear fluid filled areas on the skin. They are called as the blisters. They can be found any part of your body. It might be due to the friction, or because of the some, we can say, a bacterial infection or the insects. Then hives are there. Hives are nothing but the itchy sections, raised welts on your backsides or on the skin. They are red in color. Generally, they are having the warm, or it is cause you can say pain also. Then actinic keratosis is there. That is the, we can say, one particular type of dysfunction of your skin. It is found on the skin. Generally, it is pink in color. Sometimes may have the brown color. Then next is the rosacea, that is the chronic skin disease. Then carbuncle is there, like red kind of skin will be there, and the irritating lumps under the skin. Then latex allergy is there because of the allergens it can be caused. Then psoriasis is there. This is the well-known, we can say, disease you might have studied in your course. Then cellulitis is there. It is caused by the fungi as well as the bacteria. Then ringworm is there. It is also, we can say, common to many people. It is circular shape, scaly rashes, always itching. Then measles are there. Then vitiligo is there. Then the various kind of drugs we are using for the treatment of the disorders of the skin. So up to now we have seen the common disorders of the skin, and for the treatment of that we can use the number of the drugs. Antihistamines are preferred for the treatment of the allergen type of uh, problems. Then medicated skin ointments are there, as well as skin creams are there. Antibiotics we are using, vitamins also we are using. Then we can have the laser therapy and targeted prescription medications.